Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Fatima binti Syamsul Subari and my metric number is 1192779. And today I would like to present to all of you about our topic, which is peace and harmonious living in multi-religious society in Malaysia. And before we go further in our presentation, I would like to introduce our group member, which is me. My name is Nur Fatima binti Syamsul Subari and my metric number is 1192779. The next of our members is Nur Anissa Atra binti Muhammad Azman, which her metric number is 1192780. The next is Wan Nurazan Hayati binti Wan Kaswadi, and her metric number is 1192783. Nevertheless, Nurin Krashina binti Nur Id Zihar, which her metric number is 1191833. And last but not least is Shaza Atira binti Sailan or Sazili, and her metric number is 1191842. Before we go further of our presentation, firstly I would like to present to all of you about our table of content in this presentation. We conclude the introduction and the scope of study. Also, the main topic of our research, which is peace and harmony in Malaysia as a multi-religious country. And the second is the challenge in raising that Malaysia goes through the multi-religious society toward peace and harmony. And last but not least, the suggested ways to build peace and harmony in a multi-religious country. And lastly, the conclusion of this research.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Shaza Atira binti Sailan and I study metric number 1191842. Now let me explain about our introduction. Malaysia is one of the countries with a multiracial and multi-religious people. The largest group of Malaysians consists of three main races, which is Malay, Chinese and Indian. Islam is the official religion of the Federation, as stated in Article 3 of the Federal Constitution. Article 3 declares that Islam is the religion of the Federation, but it then goes on to say that this does not affect the other provision of the Constitution. Living as a citizen in this multiracial and multi-religious society, it is definitely a challenge for us to maintain peace and harmony. If we follow the current issues, there are many issues involving race and religion are happening in Malaysia, such as the issue of insulting Islam, which often happen. These issues can be avoided if there is peace and harmony in society. The question is, how can we maintain peace and harmony in society? So, we do this assignment to discuss three questions. Firstly, how far is peace and harmony in Malaysia as a multi-religious country? Secondly, the challenge that Malaysia goes through in raising a multi-religious society toward peace and harmony. And thirdly, the suggested way to build peace and harmony in a multi-religious country. Next, the definition of peace. According to Cambridge Dictionary, peace means freedom from war and violence, especially when people live and work together happily without disagreement. Okay, next, the definition of harmony. According to Cambridge Dictionary, harmony means a situation in which people are peaceful and agree with each other, or when things seem right or suitable together. The definition of multi-religious. According to Collins English Dictionary, multi-religious means belonging to or following more than one religion. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
The scope of study. This research aims to study how the Malaysians, no matter what their religions, build among them a peace and harmonious living in a multi multi-religious society. This research has been completed through the quantitative method, researching multiples of other research that related with this topic. This research objective discuss how far the peace and harmony in Malaysia is as a multi-religious country, and also the challenge in raising that Malaysia goes through the multi-religious society toward peace and harmony. And the last research objective of this research was discussed about the suggested ways to build peace and harmony in a multi-religious country.
My name is Wan Nur Razan Hayati binti Wan Kaswadi, metric number 1192783. Malaysia is a multi-religious country with Islam as its official religion. According to the 2010 population housing census, Islam is practiced by 61% of the population. Other faiths such as animism, Sikhism, folk religion, and other belief systems account for the remaining. Various organizations has been formed to foster religious understanding. Eid, Wesak, Christmas, Lunar New Year, and Deepavali have been declared national holidays. Other countries have examined Malaysia as an example for how to handle Islamic fundamentalism. The Federal Constitution of Malaysia protects the right to freedom of religion or belief. The concept of freedom of religion in Malaysia is rather different from what has been practiced in other Western countries or nations. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution states that Islam shall be the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in faith and harmony in Federation. Article 12, Section 2 states that each religion has the right to establish and maintain institutions for the education of the children in the religion of the group itself. It is valid for a federation or a state to establish or maintain Islamic institutions or hold or assist in holding Islamic teachings. In 2005, Dr. Mahathir stated that religious radicals will not rule Malaysia. Fundamentalism, whether Hindu, Muslim or Christian, has not resurfaced in Malaysia. The majority of Muslims in Malaysia are aware of the real Islamic principles and unlikely to be swayed by religious extremist propaganda. Malaysian multi-ethnic and multi-religious cultures have favored religious tolerance and concord found in their respective religion above their opposites because they value peace and harmony. As an autonomous modern nation-state, Malaysia has reaped the benefits of religious tolerance as well as peace, prosperity, and stability.
The second part is we discuss about the challenge in raising that Malaysia goes through the multi-religious society toward peace and harmony. In terms of religion, even in Malaysia, residents in Malaysia, majority who are Muslim, following the other believers of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity. It is not possible that Malaysia, who is the nation that is popular for peace and harmony, even as a multi-religion among society, has arisen some challenge to obtain peace among society. The first challenge is that some religious people tend to monopolize the truth of their religion and claim that their religion is the most correct religion among other religions in the world. According to Wahdusa Putri, as true in 2015. Based on these issues, it will initiate fight and misunderstanding among society, and other religious believers will be triggered on this perception, may trigger the holy war, which is an arena to defend the faith. Nevertheless, political issue could be the other challenge to obtain peace and harmony in multi-religious nation. If we could see the terrible event that happened on May 13, 1969, there are consequences of various developments within the history of this country over the past few years. Among them is the lack of continuous contact between generations and different interpretation by each of the race in the state against the constitution, leading to an increase in questioned by future races against some fundamental matters in the constitution relating to Malay language and the position of the Malays in Fasa J2 152 and 153. Also, the role played by the Malayan Communist Party by giving incitement and provocative behavior from the supporters of the racist party in the same election can arouse racist feelings and suspicion of the Malays towards the opposition party, and the Malays with the Chinese became at odds, and after the election came various racist insults and threats towards uniformity and future life of their own homeland.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nurani Satira binti Muhammad Azman. My number matric is 1192780. So the next point is the inequality of each race in society. According to KZ 2020, inequality means that each race is not yet involved in all sectors on an average, especially the Malays in the economic sectors. Although some policies has been adopted for each ethnic group to participate in various aspects of Malaysian society, the situation of certain races, especially the Malays, is still unsatisfactory. The inequality is often a threat to national unity because inequality is often linked to unfair discrimination against other races, and it is often exploited by the certain racist politicians for support. After that, the rights of Muslim and non-Muslims also one of the challenge to obtain the peace and harmony in Malaysia. The rights of Muslim and non-Muslim that are still distinct in nature. That problems become the key factors that hinder the unity of various religions, as this will cause the struggle on power as well as violation of rights and laws. For example, issues and problems of conversion or apostasy in Malaysia are closely related to ambiguity, problem of the jurisdiction of the civil and Sharia court. The study found that there are enactment of law that are contrary or overlapping between civil and Sharia, in which for a particular case a decision was difficult to make. Lastly, the lack of appreciation of non-Muslims to Islam. The lack of appreciation of the non-Muslims to honor Islam as what was given after the post-colonial period has resulted difficulties on religious tolerance. Because without respecting the history in the past, it is impossible for the non-Muslims to accept and understand some of the privilege granted to Islam either by constitutional law or other rights. As a result, various demands from non-Muslims will lead to religious conflict.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurita Srina binti Nur Istihar. My matrix number is 1191833, and I'm going to continue with the third part of this presentation, which is how to achieve a harmonious and peaceful multi-religious society. So let's get started. There are multiple methods or ways to achieve a peaceful and harmonious multi-religious society. These are a few fundamental elements of sustaining religious harmony suggested, which is important to strengthen inter-religious relationship as well as building a harmonious coexistence. So number one is respect and acceptance. According to Ihwan 2018, acceptance towards other religions is an important aspect to be emphasized in a multi-religious society to gain a civil community. One must need to understand everyone have their own belief and faith in it, and it is important to present respect. Now we will move on to the second point, which is social responsibilities and cooperation. Building excellent relationship among multi-religious believers require the element of cooperation. respect for the festivities, ritual, and belief of other religious believers in their society can be considered as an example of cooperation. There are no exceptions when each religion take a stand and accept responsibility. This result are dramatically positive. By Wang Shuang, 2013. Point number 3 is problem solving. Conflicts could not be avoided, but the consequence can be minimized in the correct ways. 3 alternatives for every religion currently, but it is possible changing according to period. According to Ali Mubarak 2009, 1 is to avoid and reject any change to the structure. If there is any attempt to reinterpret its precept, it is either crushed politically or with the support of religious injunction, which is fatwa in case of Islam. Number 2 is religion can adapt to the requirement of the period and embrace fresh interpretation of its teaching while also accommodating modernity. Number 3 is religious withdraw for active life and decide not to become involved in worldly affairs if it fails to respond to challenge and feel insecure. Its activities are limited to spirituality. That's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, we can conclude that in this multi-religious society, it's very necessary for every religious believer to tolerate with each other in many conditions that might happen in the future. Even though it has many challenges to reach that peace and harmony among religious believers, we have to believe that there must be a solution for us to overcome it. Because if we want the next generation to become tolerant with each other, we actually have to start to play a big role as a good example for them. If the past generation makes a mistake or certain issues are related to religious understanding, they'll repeat it now or in the future. But we as adults have to make it as a consequence so that the incident or that issues does not happen again in the future. So that's all from us. Assalamualaikum and thank you for lending your ears.